Hello, all, and welcome back to Left of Meta Season 2. This week, we're continuing the baseline sets with Spell Power Cure, and I'm going to start this off with a bit of a disclaimer, something I don't normally do. This series is called Left of Meta, but this set in particular, especially alongside last week's set, are rather close to, if not the meta. This set in particular is one of the most common, if not the most common, healer set, because Spell Power Cure shows up in every trial group that doesn't feel like it's organized enough and can't stand close enough to get the benefit from Olorime. In other words, it shows up in every trial group, at least in one trial or another. More on that later, but disclaimer, this is a meta set, but I'm talking about it here both because it is a set that every healer should have access to because it's super easy to get and requires buying no additional content, or at least no additional content that costs real money, and I wanted to cover my baseline sets and why I use them for the baseline. Really quick, if you disagree with me, please leave it in the comments below. I'll try and read them and respond, and either way it helps the algorithm, so I still win. But with all of that out of the way, let's roll on into today's set. Spell Power Cure is a light armor set found in the White Gold Tower dungeon. And while this isn't technically part of the base game, it is part of the Imperial City DLC, which is free to all players in the Crown Store. This set grants the following benefits. At 2 items, it adds 1096 maximum magicka. At 3 items, it adds 1096 maximum magicka. At 4 items, it adds 129 weapon and spell damage. And at 5 items, when you overheal yourself or an ally, you give the target Major Courage for 4 seconds, which increases their weapon and spell damage by 430. I'm not sure if I actually fully need to explain why Spell Power Cure is good, but in the just in case, Major Courage is a massive damage buff to the entire team. 430 is a lot of spell damage. For comparison, that is about as much damage as some trial sets give out. It's comparable to Yondir and Sororia in raw damage output. And this is a relatively easy uptime to maintain, as long as you are keeping your targets healed up and they take ticks of your healing while at full. They'll gain Major Courage, which is, again, a massive buff. And because of that, as long as you're keeping your HOTS down and spamming Combat Prayer, you can pretty easily keep an uptime on Major Courage here. So, as long as you're keeping people healed, they're getting that massive damage buff and things are dying faster. That being said, it is notable that this is a named buff, so other sources of Major Courage, read Olorime, are the same buff. Now, this means that we do actually need to talk about a trial set for a moment, because don't get me wrong, Olorime is good, but it is good in a different way than Spell Power Cure. So Olorime is good if every 20 seconds your party can get into a specific circle that you lay down. Now, if you're in a fight where you're not moving a lot, like Cloud Rest or Lopestes, Olorime is great. And if you can go back to a certain point every 20 seconds, like in most arenas, Olorime is great, because it's a longer duration buff for a lot less work. And the other great thing about Olorime is we can backbar it, so we can control when it procs, so we don't need, because we only need it every 20 seconds or so, and we can always place it on the group. Spell Power Cure requires a lot less coordination and a lot less compactness. You can keep Spell Power Cure on a 12-man group when the 12-man group is spread out. In a place like Kyne's Aegis, where you need to be standing apart so that you don't poison each other with Charis totems on the first boss, or kill each other with meteors on the second boss, Spell Power Cure is more consistent because you can heal that entire group and give them all Major Courage. You can't pull that off with Olorime. That being said, It is also worth noting that Spell Power Cure only lasts 5 seconds, so you need to keep the heals on to keep up the buff. So if you need to cast, say, your Warhorn, you might fall off a little bit on Major Courage if you're bad about it. But it's also a set that's rewarding you for doing what you should already be doing. You should be trying to keep your teammates at full health and have those heal buffers in place in case they drop below. So this is already rewarding you for the thing you're supposed to be doing anyways. In conclusion, this is a really good healer set, and there's a reason that so many people run it. It's the Major Courage set for more chaotic fights and more chaotic groups. You can't expect discipline in a pub, for example, so when you're running a random normal on your healer, you don't want to bring Olorime, as good as Olorime is. And secondly, it's a really easy maintenance. Just keep healing the team and they keep getting the buff. It's just that simple. But that'll be all for this week. I hope you all enjoyed. Please leave a comment if you disagree or agree with me. Let me know if there's any sets you want to see me talk about on here. And join us next week for the end of the baseline sets and beginning of the actual Left of Meta videos. And until then, good luck, stay safe, and don't die.